Welcome back, guys. Today we're gonna start turning the front down. Let's do it. So we're gonna start our build on the front end. I'm gonna start by taking all of the front end suspension off because ultimately I'm gonna have to drop the front suspension and open the triple clamp head assembly. I've never done this before. I've removed suspension before, but I've never had to adjust the bearings. So this is a process that I'm learning along with you all. I'm gonna start with, when we talk it out with you guys, I'm probably gonna take the fairings off, front fender, take the wheel off, and just start going from there. Ultimately, I'll have to release the top nut, and then that little locking, little screw doohickey there, and then the front and lower triple clamp should separate, revealing the bearings that are desperately in need of repair. So that's the plan. I'm gonna get started with, I guess, the front wheel. Let's start there. Let's do it. Since I'm taking the front wheel off, I already have the brake pads for my brake assembly, so I'm gonna replace that as well. So take the caliper off, these two bolts, slide that back. I'm gonna pop the old brake pads off, put the new ones in, and then looks like I've got 4 pinch bolts on the front, left and right side. And then I'll take the axle nut off, and I should be able to push the front axle off. That's the kind of the plan here, and then I'm gonna start working my way up. Take a look at these. This is why it is so important to inspect your motorcycle after purchase. When I bought this bike, I couldn't tell whether they had good or bad brake pads. It was so tight in there. But take a look at the difference here. Yep, it was absolutely end of its life. Here's brand new pads. I got the front wheel off. Now I'm just kind of working through all the fairings, making sure I have clear access. That front wheel came off real nice. I'm gonna clean that up while that's out. I ordered some really flashy rim tape for the bike, so I'm kind of excited to put that on. Similar to what we did with the Monster. I am so excited to take off this front system that is just kind of held on with zip ties. Zip ties are great, but if you can avoid using zip ties, especially for your main source of light on the motorcycle at night, it's a good move. So I'm gonna go back to stock here. I have the front fairing on its way with an upgraded LED light basket. The previous system, the original ones, aren't known for their brightness. So if anyone wants this, let me know. I'm not gonna use it. All right. I'm kind of in the detail portion of it. I need to make sure that all of the lines are, I'm taking notes of how the lines are because I have to take all of it off. I have to get to this lower and upper triple clamp to get to the bearings inside here. So I just gotta take it slow and work every routing and make sure I know how to put it back together. Okay, we have our clamps exposed. It's kind of a bit of a mess, but I've got all my parts over there. Now I need to loosen this top nut and then open that up, and I should be able to separate the two halves and expose the bearings. Here it is. I've got my triple clamp disassembled. Now, a few things I noticed. These bearings are dried and absolutely ready to go. So I am glad the time is being spent to fix these. Completely dry, and time to replace it. Now this is the fun part. I don't have the tools to take these out, so I'm gonna have to get creative on how to pull this. So wish me luck. I have no idea how I'm gonna get this out. I might have to take this to a shop and have them replace it for me, which is, no, not a bad deal. Ooh, it's gross in here. So this race is supposed to be perfectly smooth, and there are divots of where these taper bearings normally rest. So that's what's causing that notch to feel like it's in that spot. It should be smooth, but every time the needle bearing or the taper bearings line up, the roller bearings line up, it holds that position and keeps it from spinning. So I gotta pop these races out, put a new bearing on. Let's do it. I got the lower bearing, yeah, I got the lower race out. This is the one that's really grooved. You can see that here. I used this rod here that was just kind of working it evenly, but popped it out. Now I gotta do the top, so this is kind of my technique. Light taps. Just going around. Just working my way like that. Another one down. Alright, halfway down, the races are out. This next part should be pretty straightforward. I clean out the grease inside and I reapplied packing grease into it, and then I'm gonna use these races to hammer it back in because it's gonna go up like that. So I'm gonna just use this to hammer in the new ones. So that's gonna be my next step. And then eventually I'll have to figure out how to take this off. To take this off, I'm gonna try the old break the cage and then hammer off the inner sleeve here. So I'm gonna give that a shot. I don't have a bearing puller and I don't want to pay 50 bucks for the shop to do it for me. So that's the plan here. I'm gonna break this cage open, pull that across hopefully with a hammer and chisel method, and then cut that race open to drive the new bearing back in. So I gave up a little bit on that fork stem bearing. I just could not get that last needle bearing off. So I took it to the shop. My buddy Toby down the street at Wickoff Racing is gonna take care of it for 35 bucks and put in the new bearing. In the meantime, I stopped by the store, picked up a new chain for it because this old chain is dilapidated. All of the O-rings are pretty much deteriorated since it was ran on here for so long to the wrong amount of links. It did do some damage on the frame here, so I'm gonna see what I can do about that. But this chain's absolutely garbage. I also am gonna switch this back over to stock gearing just to run it for a little bit. This is a larger rear sprocket, so it's a 44 versus a 41, which means it's a larger diameter, causing you to have more torque in the rear wheel. Right now, I need it to be comfortable on longer rides, so I'm gonna switch it back to stock gearing and see how that feels. I also have a 16 tooth and a 41 in the back, or a 44 and a 15 tooth. So I've got some combinations to play with. I think I'm gonna call it quits on this episode. The bike's fully torn down now, got parts everywhere. I need a mental break from it all. Hopefully I remember where everything is in a little bit. So I'm gonna stop here. Next episode, we'll put the front forks back together. I have to go grab it from the shop. And then we'll put the whole rear end back together again with the new chain and the stock gearing. So hopefully next episode we'll get to ride, and I'll pick it up from there. Thank you guys for watching. See you next episode.